Um, we've over a number of years had some shared placements with the Deadly Years service. So they're another team within our broader organisation of children's health, but we work at separate locations and have very different roles. And what we've found is that the Deadly Years team were looking for more clinical experience for their students. And the students that we were having here were struggling to have in a full-time capacity just because of our workforce, so lots of people being part-time. And so having another option for them to be part-time with us but part-time with another organisation. And so what we find is that it does take a bit of organisation in the first instance. So we do meet beforehand and we do plan out the placement. So for however many weeks it is, clearly sort of negotiate how much time the student will spend at each place, and making that as equal as possible seems to work better. If they're a little bit more in one service than the other, you just don't get them enough to actually kind of progress with their learning and their skills and them having enough experiences. So making it as equal as possible, and booking in supervision times and way in advance booking in phone hookups between the supervisors, so that prior to the point when you have to do sort of a halfway assessment, you have had time to have a discussion and come up with your scoring and coding, and then booking in feedback times with the students in a joint way. And so if all of that's booked in advance, when you're kind of in the middle of it, the busyness of the placement, that works really well. The other thing I think that we've done over time is thought a lot about how supervision works in terms of what's required for different placements. So where the student with us at the Child Development Program is doing much more of a clinical role, you need a different style of supervision than you may when a student is doing a project type role, and negotiating that with the student up front that there will be differences, and how they will engage with one supervisor might be very different to how they engage with the other supervisor. I found is something that we've had to do so that those differences are expected rather than something that they have to work out along the way. So making as much of it as possible with the student and as much planning as possible beforehand is what tends to make it work. So it does, in a part-time capacity, make it much easier to have students, and I guess we feel a sense of responsibility to have students as well, so it makes that more doable. I also think it gives you a good opportunity to learn from each other. If you're sharing a student and you're having to chat along the way in terms of your own student supervision ability, I think that you learn from the other supervisor. I think for the student it's probably where there's more benefit, and that's about, so our particular relationship with Deadly Years is about the student seeing quite different models of service delivery and experiencing the OT role in both of those environments, and being able to compare and contrast what that is, and to get a broad perspective of what an OT can do in different environments, in different contexts.